Check this out. Yes, J-Dot, CJ, and V the Guerrilla. They call us alternative, yeah, cause we ain't vanilla. We got the hard-hitting facts coming out of Manila. For the truth that the media's afraid of the realers. Check the statement of the deep state, yeah, they faked it. Mainstream news pull the cover up as sacred. Everybody hates it, but who's the one to face it? It's world news to expose truth to the nation. Yo, who the ones are not afraid to speak the truth? Educating you, exposing lies and who they listen to. Hey, they want to call collusion, you ain't got the proof. Who? A lot of people lying now, but what they got to lose? Yeah, but we're not like that. Only interested in facts, making sure we get it right on the trust of the mass. Population's only strong and liberties intact. And as a wise man said, if it's not, it will last. It was George Washington, by the way.
Hello, all the peoples. Hello, hello. It is I, the Guerrilla, with El Cuco. What's up, Cuco?
And we are live. Hey, good morning, V. Good morning. Doing great.
Yep.
Great weekend.
Oh, dude. Great weekend is an understatement of the century. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome weekend. Mrs. and I watched the entire UFC fight. Phenomenal. UFC 229, baby. Phenomenal fights. Great fights, all of it. Heck, even the Michelle Waterson fight was pretty damn good. But, let's talk about a couple of fights, okay? Funniest fight of the day for UFC 229. Funniest fight of the day has to be Derek Lewis and that guy Volkov. Okay, big Russian. Yeah. Derek Lewis is always a character. Absolutely hilarious, right? And he's a Trump supporter, so which is great. So Derek Lewis looks like he was losing. Looks like he was getting gassed, completely running out of gas. And all of a sudden, in the final round, with like 20 seconds left, clocks the guy and knocks out his opponent. It was hilarious to see. It was great. Then, of course, the fight after that, we had wasn't it Dwayne Reyes? Was it Dwayne or starts with a D?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah,
Dwayne Reyes. Dwayne Reyes and some guy named OPM or whatever his name is, some Haitian guy, right? That kid Dwayne is in the light heavyweight division. He is definitely one to watch. Fantastic movement, great fighting, the whole 9 yards. And then let's talk about Tony Ferguson and Anthony Pettis. Holy crud. El Cucuy, the boogeyman, was back. Holy crud. Tony Ferguson, great match. I mean, wow, man. What an entertaining fight that was. And then let's get to the main card, Siege. The main card.
Oh, the mauling.
Siege, I called it. I called it, CJ. I called it. Khabib Nurmagomedov absolutely mauled to death Conor McGregor. And I was cheering. I wanted to see Conor pummeled, and that's exactly what happened. Even in round 3, when it looked like Conor was doing some sort of stand-up, no, he wasn't connecting at all. Once again, Khabib is not only undefeated, 27-0, but he hasn't lost a round. He's won every single round. Now you could say Khabib has horrible stand-up. You could say that his chin is up and his hands are low, and he's just not that great. What a fantastic performance he put out. He decimated that idiot. Conor McGregor had his Ronda Rousey moment last night, Siege. He was exposed to the world as what he was. Just like Rousey. I mean, Rousey came into a division that had no talent. Then as soon as talent started building up, that's when she lost. Same thing with McGregor. There was no talent. I mean, everybody have these paper champions like Jose Aldo. These guys are nobodies, man. And all of a sudden, real talent started coming in. What did McGregor do? He's dodging Kevin Lee. He's dodging Tony Ferguson. And all of a sudden, here comes Khabib Nurmagomedov and exposes him for what he is. Great fight. And then the after-fight thing, oh my God, the melee that happened right afterwards, bro. You know, watch. You know what pisses me off? If you
What's that
remember,
mean?
if you remember a UFC fight in the UK where Connor was in the audience, jumped the fence, attacked the referee, and assaulted his one of the fighters that was on there, the fighter who I think won, assaulted him. No one says nothing. Connor could take a hand truck, put it through a bus window, put 3 fighters in the hospital, disrupt the fight card, and life goes on. All of a sudden, Khabib, jumps over the fence, lunges at one of the lackeys for Connor. Nobody really connected, really. Nobody really got hurt. But now they want to talk about, we're going to strip him of the belt. We're going to strip him of the belt. Meanwhile, the in-ring melee, guess who started that? Videographic evidence has shown this morning and actually yesterday. Videographic evidence, folks, from multiple angles has shown it was the in-ring melee where people from Khabib's side ran into the ring to fight Connor happened because of Connor. Siege, did you know that?
Yeah, he threw the first punch. You can definitely see it on the video. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And the Nevada Boxing Commission, what do? They gave the purse to Connor. Then they froze Khabib's purse. They need to undo that because you cannot. Look what Connor does. He's a disgusting, drunk, cocaine-fueled ginger. A disgusting, drunk, cocaine-fueled ginger who got his ass handed to him on a silver platter. And he is somebody who is an instigator. He needs to pay for it. Khabib got his family. Where Khabib's from, you don't go around insulting a person's family, a person's faith, a person's country, their nationality. You don't go around doing that. And Khabib, he lost it after he destroyed Connor. Utter massacre. He mauled him to death. And then going out there and having that melee out, I get it. Yes, he should be fined, but that's it. Slap him on the wrist with a little fine, and that's it. But let's see how politicized the UFC gets, man. If they strip Khabib and they talk about, we're going to cancel, he might have problems with his visa. When McGregor put a dolly through a window of a bus, putting 3 people in the hospital, changing a fight card, damaging property, was the question, CJ? Was the question? Was there any question? Did anybody bring up? Hey, you know what? We need to go ahead and we need to think about his visa here. We got to stop his visa. It's unreal. What's your take, man?
Well, definitely. I mean, the UFC in part has deployed some of the WWE tactics from the company that acquired them. So I think in part, you're seeing a merging of that. I watched Dana's post-fight, press conference, and he's all acting emotionally distraught. I'm not saying that it was staged. I'm not saying that at all. But I think Dana's playing into that with, I'm so depressed. I was looking forward. This was going to be the night of my life, and this happens, and and continuing some of the conversation around, he may not be able to come back in the United States. I mean, you have to call this for what this is. This is an aggressive, brutal sport, and from someone Khabib with his heritage, his nationality, there's only so much that a person can take. And I think the UFC, by utilizing the continued video of, Connor smashing the bus window, I mean, they use that over and over as part of the promotion. Dana justified by saying that it was part of the story, right? It was part of the story of the hatred of each other. So you can't have your cake and ice cream too. You can't show video of Connor grabbing a 2-wheel dolly and throwing it to the window of a bus. Yeah. And then come back and say, well, what Khabib did was wrong. It wasn't about the sport at that point. It wasn't about the UFC. It was about, hey, this was a personal attack on me, my family, what you said. So I have a lot of respect for what Khabib did, and I probably would have acted the very same way.
And if you notice, how did Connor go after Khabib the first time? When they were in Brooklyn, UFC 226, when they were in Brooklyn, what was Connor doing? He got onto a plane with 30 to 40 of his goons and flew from Dublin to New York to create that havoc, right?
Right.
Because he doesn't fight on his own because he's a little bitch. He knows
Right.
that. And so what happened this time around? Khabib leaps out of the ring and goes after his entire crew by himself.
Now, I will say this, just real quick, that I'm glad that Connor refused to press charges. They tried to convince him to do so, and he said absolutely not. So that tells me that he gets it. That what? No, I'm not going to do that, because partially he knew he was partially to blame, and that's just his background, his upbringing. So, and Connor, for the most part, he marketed himself very well. I mean, he's a self-made millionaire, and he played this character role to get him the funds, to get the huge Mayweather fight. He did all that for himself. So kudos. But in terms of athletic talent, in terms of skill set, I mean, there's no doubt we just witnessed, someone who just dominated Conor McGregor, and it exposed a lot. V, you're absolutely right. So yeah, so where does he go next, and what does he do? I would love to see him go ahead and take on El Cucuy. I think that would be a great fight. I don't know how much it would prove to fight Khabib again right away, because if he does, it's going to be career-ending. It's going to be a Ronda Rousey moment. You're exactly right. He fights Khabib again, it's a Ronda Rousey moment. Yeah,
1,000%. It'll be 1,000% career-ending. Now it's just like he's going to have to, hover around in the top 5 category. He's got to not only fight, Tony Ferguson, which will probably be the most likely match, but Kevin Lee is also hanging out there in the woods, in the wings. So there's a lot of ways this thing could go, and I think if he tries to fight Tony Ferguson will absolutely wreck him. There's no doubt about it. Ferguson has his number, and what I want to see is either Khabib, from rumor has it, this is what Khabib wanted. He wanted to beat Conor, and he wants to fight GSP, and then he wants to retire.
There you go.
That's what he wants. That's what he really wants. He doesn't care about because Khabib struggles very hard to get down to that 155 weight limit, right? Struggles very hard. Khabib walks around at like 185, 190. Like 185, I think is what he walks around at, right?
Right.
So very hard for him to get down to 155. Very hard. He wants that GSP fight. He wants to fight GSP. He wants to fight GSP and retire undefeated. Khabib Nurmagomedov is the Floyd Mayweather of MMA.
Yep, I agree.
Khabib Nurmagomedov is the freaking what's his name? Jack Dempsey or the Rocky Marciano of MMA. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. He wants to fight GSP. I hope that fight happens. That would be a hell of a fight to watch. And that's that. All right, so that's our UFC 229 breakdown. We could do that because now we're Rogue News. We could talk about all the news. Yeah, not just about money all the time. So, Caesar, that done and out of the way, man. Where do you want to start, brother? Let's spin the web here.
Well, obviously the Kavanaugh confirmation was huge, right? So we
massive. I think the leftists are right now are there. I heard there were some leftists who absolutely are completely hanging themselves. They are literally just falling to pieces, bro, because of this whole entire Kavanaugh thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I'm curious to see where it's going to go, and I kind of have that same hesitation, the same thing that that W talked about, that we were told up front that Kavanaugh's not a good candidate for the Supreme Court because that he was he drank in high school, and he may have done this event, which we know is completely false. But outside of that, if you take a look at some of his on the record, some of his writings, the way he's filled it, there are some concerns, legitimate concerns about how he very much supports the surveillance state. He believes that the government has the right under the Fourth Amendment, some of the same things that they busted Ross Ulbricht for, that he doesn't see any problem with that. He believes under anytime it comes to a matter of national security, that it's okay for the surveillance state to continue without any type of warrant. So that's reason for concern. The other reason for concern too is that, let's face it, George Bush Sr. called one of the deciding voters like 4 or 5 times. Why would George Bush be doing that other than because it's a continuation of the war state, that, Kavanaugh supports the right for the executive branch to be able to conduct these wars, at the executive office to make the decision. So let's see where it goes. And now if he uses it to counter the deep state and to say, no, your actions, you're going to be held accountable for it, then that's a good thing. But there is reason to caution to see exactly, where he goes and what happens. And for the Q movement, for the Red October, this is going to happen. This is your defining moment in time. This is that month that Kavanaugh's in place. So let's see the warrants, the arrests. Let's see the prosecutions. Let's see this begin this month, because this is everything it's been hyped up for. Now, I listened to a video on Sunday, and I think they're already trying to flip the narrative a little bit. And
oh God, what do you mean?
For this Red October, because they're saying, well, you know what, the Red October means a lot of things. It's just not the prosecutions. There's other things that this Red October is going to be about. So to me, they're already kind of like, okay, let's dial this back a little bit just in case something happens. But I don't care. Like we've said numerous times, whether wrong or right or whatever, we just want to see these people held accountable. This is what we said was going to happen. So that's great. Kavanaugh's in place so we can move forward. In the event that there does need to be military tribunals, you have a Supreme Court that's going to back this up and confirm that. So let's get after it.
Yep. This is what I said from the beginning, man. Siege, what did I say about Kavanaugh? What did I say? There's no different. Siege, when this whole thing started, did I not say that he's going to get confirmed?
You did. Yes, absolutely.
Many times. And why did I say? I said, he's no threat to the deep state. Number one. Number two, there's no difference between him and Justice Kennedy. Absolutely none. None. Zero, zilch. Nothing. Nada. Okay? So now that he's in the narrative that is spinning in the interwebs of messaging boards throughout the internet right now, the 8chan, 4chan, 16chan, I'm going to start 24chan just for the hell of it, man. 24chan. I wonder why nobody's created that yet. That's a cool name. Maybe there is out there. Who knows? But anyway, you go to one of these chan sites. All right. The narrative is out there that this is Red October. It conjures up memories of a Cold War. It conjures up memories of Sean Connery in a Soviet naval uniform in a rogue submarine with
great movie. Yep.
Yeah, great. I loved it. I love that movie. With what's his name, the Alec Baldwin hunting him down. It conjures up those memories. But the fact of the matter is, Siege. The fact of the matter is this. Okay, I'm just trying to readjust my seat here. Okay, the fact of the matter is this. People talking about this Red October thing, and these are the images that it connotates. And then, are you ready for the arrests? Are you ready? Like, do you see how the psychological hyping is happening, right? Are you ready for the arrests are coming? The arrests are coming. Okay, if the arrests are coming, here you had George W. Folks around here call me W. My name is George W. Bush, and I support Brett Kavanaugh, and I made those calls. I made those calls to Jeff Flake and to the other three people, Susan Collins, all of them. I told them to go ahead and vote for Brett because Brett has our values, our values, and my advisors told me to go ahead and say that it was okay for Brett because he has our values in mind. And this is where we are. So this is the what is being talked about in the interwebs and regurgitated one mouth to the other. Is that Brett Kavanaugh is going to secure the Constitution? Okay, we'll see. Some people say that Brett Kavanaugh has to change of heart, that he's no longer a deep stater and a curmudgeon trying to cover up Clinton crimes. And this is what I found to be funny. He's like, this is there was he said it. A few other people have said it, that this is some sort of a backlash against from the Clintons. Some sort of backlash from the Clintons. He ran the cover-up for the Vince Foster murders, which is all tied to Hillary. Is he going to flip the script on Hillary? I don't know. Is this just one huge circle jerk? Is this one huge fantasy that people concoct in their heads? I mean, I don't know, folks. I'm telling you right now, if midterms are going to come and go, and I think right now the way things are looking, the retarded left is going to lose. I think they're going to lose big. I think this Kavanaugh thing has done more harm than good to them. And the question is, was that part of the plan all along? Was that part of the plan? If this is all being gamed at some sort of a level, was it all part of the plan to have the left go full retard? So that you vote right. And at the end of the day, we still have a two-party system. Because the whole thing is not vote. It's not about voting out the deep state. It's all about, vote Republican, vote Republican, vote Republican. And my whole thing is to vote all of them out. You start instituting term limits. We don't need one party. And we know that there's zero difference, folks. Apart from football issues like taxes and gay marriage and whatnot, there's really no difference from the Democrats and the Republicans. No difference. They're both the two wings on the same dragon. Their foreign policy is still schizophrenic. Foreign policy hasn't really changed. The way we conduct trade is in a fascist way. I mean, there was more data coming out that, we are literally trying to sell LNG, liquid natural gas, via the barrel of a gun. You buy this now or I kill you. But I don't want it. Too bad. Take it. But I don't want it. Okay, just don't kill me. I'll buy it. Mafia tactics. These are the things that we need to look at, folks. Everybody's out there. Everybody's on that hype train right now. Everybody's riding that euphoria. I hope and pray Kavanaugh had a turnover. I hope and pray for arrest. I really, really, really do. I will celebrate. I will pop open not only the finest boxed wine, CJ, but the latest in boxed champagne. Okay? The latest in boxed champagne. I will pop one open and celebrate. But we'll see. November 6th, we have the midterms. It'll be nice to see a swing. But even if we win, a majority, what about our foreign policy that's screwed us up? What about our economic system? Our central bank dominated. Our central bank dominated economic system. What do you do about that? What do you do about that?
And I think it ties right in, V. And I titled part of the show, as far as the fate of the U.S., influence. And you said exactly right. Is that's what you have to worry about? Is all these other things outside of the tribunal's arrest and everything? Is that on mass scale, we're losing any type of influence, and it's primarily, obviously, because of the dollar. And I think there's no more clear example of that than the deal that India just announced with Russia on Friday.
And what deal is that, pray tell, CJ?
Well, that deal is a massive purchase of weapons systems from Russia, which the U.S. had been, warning them repeatedly not to do. And then also they will continue purchasing their oil from Iran. They're going to do that. And this was a massive deal.
Yeah.
India was set to enter lucrative bids for Russian weapons and Iranian oil, despite warnings and potential sanctions from Washington. India's Prime Minister Modi and Russian President Putin concluded a multi-billion-dollar deal Friday for Moscow to provide New Delhi's with the advanced S-400 surface-to-air missile system. The agreement was a number of measures related to defense, economy, and forged between the two leaders during Putin's 2-day visit to India.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, again, India always regarded as a U.S. ally. And now, again, the emperor has no clothes. I mean, these things are massive events, massive shifts that are occurring. And how many more of these things are going to occur? V? What are your thoughts?
It shows the utter contempt that the world has for us at this stage of the game. Don't buy that from someone. Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. Don't do that deal. Whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and do that deal. Don't do this. Don't do that. Whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. And that is the attitude that the world has right now. They're not going to sit around and wait. They're not going to sit around and say, "Hey, you know what? Buy my crappy Patriot missile defense system, or else." Or else what? Or else what? And that's the issue here, folks. That is the issue. Or else what? Because there's nothing we can do on a large scale. When you talk about a military power like India, they're not going to do anything in India. Absolutely nothing. What are they going to do? I mean, India has some pretty damn advanced weapon systems. They got probably one of the finest air forces on the planet. There's no doubt about that. See, against a large military power that actually could defend itself, a nuclear power, they don't do nothing. Everybody knows it's BS. So we're getting punked on a global stage. See, we wouldn't be getting punked if we didn't have a punkish foreign policy. And here we are, 700 some odd days later into the new administration, and our foreign policy really hasn't changed much. Really hasn't changed much at all. I mean, it's refreshing to see the situation in the Korean Peninsula, but how much of that is us, and how much is that real mediation by some regional powers like Russia, China, and heck, even the desire for survival by South Korea, because they don't want to be they don't want to be on the receiving end of a nuclear exchange and or artillery and bombardment strikes. They don't want to be in the receiving end of that. So that's the situation that we're dealing with here, folks. And people say, "Oh, look at North Korea. Look, Mike Pompeo's there again." Okay, fine, that's wonderful. Again, but the progression here is we need to see some tangibles. The biggest tangible, there are two major pivot points here. Okay, I see the North Korean thing as positive. That's good, wonderful. That's a pivot point being taken out. It's still a mess in the sandbox. It's still, I mean, the Middle East is gone damn crazy. It is gone damn crazy. Gone. But while that's happening, what are we doing? Well, we've decided to shift a lot of the momentum and a lot of the subterfuge, a lot of the deep state chicanery, quote unquote, right back into the Ukraine. They have redirected resources to make that the Ukraine becomes a very serious front of operations against the Russians. Why is that happening? Number one. Why is that necessary? Number two. I mean, think about it. You have Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, now the Ukraine, all these places around Russia, Poland, all these places around Russia, Moldova. Again, bringing in more, and NATO continues to encroach into Russian territory, into the Russian sphere of influence, right up to the Russian border. NATO continues to march forward. NATO continues to expand. I thought we're defunding NATO, Siege.
Nope, doesn't look that way, V.
Yeah, I thought we're getting rid of NATO. I thought NATO was kaput. But what is happening, folks, is that the march from NATO keeps happening. It keeps encroaching, keeps moving forward. But, according to some, it's all part of the 5D chess. Did you know that, CJ? It's all part of the 5D chess. Did you know that?
Yeah, well, that's what they continue to say.
It's all part of the 5D chess, CJ, and you know what? It's your problem that you don't see it that way. It's your problem, and you don't have any faith, and you're not a patriot. So there, end of discussion. Unreal, man. Unreal. What else we got, CJ?
Well, I think we can point to one country that is apparently doing something against corruption, and that's this missing Interpol president. V, do you want to break that down?
Yeah, this is really weird. Like, what the hell's going on here, right? I mean, this is Interpol said on Sunday that Meng has resigned as president of Interpol. Today, Sunday, October the 7th, at Interpol General Secretariat in Lyon, France, received the resignation of Mr. Meng Hongwei as president of Interpol with immediate effect, reads a statement from International Police Organization. South Korean national Kim Jong-yang has been acting president, while the new president will be appointed on November 18th to the 21st, meeting to be held in Dubai. The wife of the missing Interpol President Meng Hongwei has revealed a grisly text message sent to her before his mysterious disappearance after Chinese authorities detained him for questioning, reports The Independent. Grace Meng says that her husband, 64, sent her an emoji of a knife shortly before his disappearance. Grace Meng said she believes that sending this image was her husband's way of trying to tell her that he was in danger. She added that she has no further contact with him since the message was sent on the 25th of September. Ms. Meng also said 4 minutes before Mr. Meng shared the image, he sent a message saying, "Wait for my call." Meng, who is also a deputy minister for public safety in China, though he had been living with his family in Lyon, France, where Interpol's headquarters is based, was reported missing by his wife last week, prompting prosecutors in France to open an investigation. This is getting very strange, Siege. That investigation is continuing despite confirmation that Meng is being held by the Chinese government. Oh, so he's not dead. That's a good thing. Interpol has requested, though, through official law enforcement channels, clarification from China's authorities on the status of Interpol President Meng Hongwei. Jürgen Stock, Secretary General of the organization based in Lyon, France, said in a statement, Interpol's General Secretariat looks forward to an official response from China's authorities to address concerns over the president's well-being. Meng is also China's Deputy Minister of Public Security and has 40 years of experience in policing and public safety. His experience includes stints working on narcotics enforcement and counterterrorism, according to Interpol's website. While many at Interpol feared Meng would abuse his position and encourage foreign governments to extradite Chinese dissidents living abroad, instead he appears to have taken an interest in cybercrime enforcement since his early 2016. His term is set to expire 2020. Okay, so this guy's missing, and I have no idea why. Well, he's being held by the Chinese.
Yeah.
I have no idea why, Siege. I have no idea why. Why did I even pick this stupid story?
Well, in part, I think you're onto something because in a video, I think it just came out early this morning, but Quinn Michaels has done some research and linked this found person that's under arrest, obviously for corruption, and tying it directly to the BBRDW, which I had no idea what that was until I did some research. And this goes back to the late 90s with the massive corruption of that fund that was created. It was a front, and when this guy got nailed for it and it went to court, he alleged that he was directly tied, that this was a CIA front, and that he started this whole fund and everything for the CIA. The CIA tried to stop this from happening in the courts. The courts overruled it. But Quinn Michaels is directly linking this guy to that, which potentially could be a CIA top tie-in, and maybe that's why he was arrested. Man, I'm speculating here. I'm speculating, but
your speculation is as good as any, man. I mean, that's good to know. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Also specialties. Look at the guy's specialties. Narco trafficking. That's the background. Whenever I think narco trafficking, I think the cocaine import agency. I can't help it, man. I always think the CIA,
Well, if you think of the escalation and what's happening, Pence's latest speech to, try to go after China and everything else, and then boom, they're like taking out the Interpol president. Think about that. That's pretty massive, saying, no, we've got him. We're gonna arrest him. And that's a pretty clear message. And I think that's why it's so important right now, that's why they're going over this and releasing this information.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And what's funny is that I think there's a lot of weight to that. I think there's a lot of credence to that statement right there, man. Very interesting indeed.
But this is also be a perfect example of how someone is arrested. This wasn't on some type of 8chan board that these arrests were going to happen and these sealed indictments. So China's providing a great blueprint to the Trump administration, is that this is how you arrest and you prosecute people.
Oh yeah, I hope so. I mean, how many people have they arrested and prosecuted? Like over 100,000 at this point for corruption.
Yeah, it's pretty massive. Yeah,
it's a god awful amount, And people say, well, that's just the communists. No, they're actually going after them. These guys are crooked, man. Crooked. All sorts of deals. These are guys who are like parking, funds overseas and whatnot. And yeah, man, they're being caught left and right over there. Over here, they walk around and they go on Lear jets and they travel to places like in India and fall down temple steps and all that other stuff. The baby eaters that we have over here, the ones who feed on children. Yeah, they get to walk around, Siege. They get to walk around, but it's Red October. It's Red October, Siege. The arrests are coming, buddy.
Right. Well, yeah. So I think this was a direct message to the United States by busting this guy, in part to the deep state. But there's something else, V, that's happening that's we have to keep our eye on, and we talked about this previously, and that's that China, when the administration goes after them, saying that they're waging political wars and everything else. This was triggered and started by the administration and them ratcheting up this whole trade war with China. So now it's coming back again. This is really beginning to backfire, because the latest Census Bureau came in that on Friday that the trade deficit actually increased to $53.2 billion in August for both goods and services, and that's up from $50 billion in July. The goods trade deficit, which draws the most since Trump's attention, also increased $86.3 billion, a $3.8 billion increase from the month before. And when you nail this down, this goes to the heart of Trump voters in the farming states, is that the primary reason for the increase in the deficit was a collapse in exports, especially soybeans, which fell off by $1 billion, a 28% drop from the prior month. China is the largest buyer of U.S. soybeans, which imposed tariffs on the American crop, and it appears the restrictions are taking its toll. Turning to Trump's main trade war with China, the news doesn't look much better for the president. The goods deficit with China jumped in an all-time one-month record of $38.6 billion from $36.8 billion in July, without seasonal adjustments year to date. So, obviously this trade war, the art of the deal, is not working. And again, and hitting the beltway for the soybeans. So now the United States is going to have to bail out the soybean farmers. We're going to have to pump even more money to them. So again, this is reality. I don't think that this should have happened. I think there was much better ways to negotiate, but this is the danger. And again, why the administration keeps up ratcheting more and more hatred of China and everything. I'm not saying that China is a model nation. I'm not stating that at all. However, how many times have we discussed?
Yes, you are. You're a communist sympathizer, CJ. You're a communist sympathizer.
But V, I don't want to go to the grocery store and for regular household goods and everything. I don't want to pay 15 or 20% more. I mean, I can't do that. I don't. So these people, like this ruling class that we have in America, and I think Trump is part of that ruling class. With his wealth, they can afford to do that. They probably don't pay for them. They probably pay for it with some type of a corporation or LLC or something like that. I mean, again, these things that, these things keep happening, 2020 and gas prices are up and inflation is up. You just got to be very mindful of that. And that's why these October arrests are so important, because again, those, the free spirits, the libertarians, the people supporting, this administration, they're gonna start falling to the side. They're not going to continue with this unless there's some real harsh actions that are going to take place. And I continue to say that. So hopefully some things turn around real quickly for this administration. B.
Yeah, if things were smart, what I would recommend is have government, all the soy farmers. I would have a government subsidy, subsidize them to switch production from soy, which this way will end all the soy boys. We'll take their supply of soy lattes away from the left. It will make them prohibitively expensive for the left to consume soy lattes, because it's the soy lattes and all the soy that they consume that fuels their left-wing idiocy, okay? The left-wing craziness. This way, we take away the crazy fuel from the left, and we can switch from having all these soy farmers go from soy to hemp.
Nice.
That's the way. That's what I would do. Go from soy to hemp, and then you cut off the entire soy latte from these leftists. Dude, Antifa will be done. They wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't have the estrogen needed to go out there and march and protest and act like crazy bitches. They wouldn't have any of that. And problem solved. Problem solved, CJ. Subsidize it. Give them a subsidy to switch over from soy to hemp, and we'd have an industrial revolution all over again, because the uses for hemp are incredible. It supersedes soy in every regard. And it's actually good for you. And if you're a man or woman or child, the hemp is way better, and hemp oil is way better, and hemp nutritionally is way better than freaking soy. Soy's dangerous, man. Dangerous. But that's my take. I'm the Guerrilla. That's, if I go ahead and try to do something like that, they'll kill me in about a week, Siege. They'll kill me in about a week.
V, do you want to close it out and talk about this this planned murder of this journalist that was killed?
Oh, jeez, like what in God's name is going on in the world, Siege? What in God's name is going on? Like what if the Sandbox gets? I always knew the Sandbox was hot, but every year the Sandbox gets hotter. In a shocking twist in an already mysterious and bizarre saga, Turkish investigators say they believe that prominent Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi was murdered inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul after he entered on a routine business 4 days ago. Khashoggi's fiancée, who was waiting outside at the time of his disappearance on Tuesday, said he simply never came out. Since that time, there's been an international outcry and search for the missing journalist. A Washington Post columnist and former editor of a couple major Saudi newspapers who had a reputation as an outspoken critic of Saudi Arabia's rulers, he was initially widely reported, quote-unquote, detained inside the consul premises by Saudi authorities. Saudi officials have vehemently denied having ever detained Khashoggi, and have repeatedly said he freely left the embassy not long after he entered. The Saudi Crown Prince himself, MBS, Mohammed bin Salman himself, on Friday invited Turkish authorities to enter the building to conduct an investigation, telling Bloomberg, "We are ready to welcome the Turkish government to go and search our premises." He said the consulate, which is Saudi's sovereign territory, will allow them to enter and search and do whatever they want. "We have nothing to hide," MBS added. But the Turkish police, after initiating their search of the Saudi diplomatic compound on Saturday, unexpectedly reached the shocking conclusion. Listen to this. Turkey has concluded that Jamal Khashoggi, a prominent journalist from Saudi Arabia, was killed. Jeez, listen to that, Siege. Was killed in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul this week by a Saudi team sent specifically for the murder. 2 people with knowledge of the probe said on Saturday. Likely, this will set off major diplomatic scandal between Ankara and Riyadh. There's no doubt the Saudis expected a clean bill of health. Otherwise, they would have never made such an offer to search the heavily guarded and fortified compound in the first place. If this is true, that the Saudis lured a U.S. resident into their consulate and murdered him. Jeez. It should represent a fundamental break in our relationships with Saudi Arabia. This is Chris Murphy, U.S. Senator from Connecticut. During his Friday interview with Bloomberg, Crown Prince MBS said to be exuding confidence, by some observers. However, if confirmed, the whole incident could threaten the future of U.S.-Saudi relations. Earlier in the day, Saturday, Turkey's Anadolu News Agency announced the Istanbul Public Prosecutor's Office was formally probing the disappearance, and though yet to reveal any specific evidence to back the murder charge, concluded that a 15-member team. Geez, that's a lot of people to kill one guy, Siege.
It's a lot, V.
Why can't they just whack the guy when he's on the street, make it look like a hit? You got to bring him into this is something that doesn't add up here. Why would you invite the guy to your consulate in the middle of Istanbul, which is heavily surveilled, and why do it there? 15-member team came from Saudi. And how did the freaking Turks know it was a 15-member team? What evidence do the Turks have? It is a pre-planned murder, according to sources privy to the investigation. Khashoggi, who writes for the Washington Post Global Opinion section, is visiting the consulate Tuesday to obtain documents related to an upcoming wedding, according to his fiancée and friends. The killing, if confirmed, would mark a stunning escalation of Saudi Arabia's effort to silence dissent. You want to silence dissent? How about the Shiites that they're slaughtering in the southern tip of that peninsula, CJ? How about that? How about the Shiites that they're slaughtering near the Bahrain-Saudi Arabia border? These are people that have, have a lot of dissent. You have a country which 25, damn near 30% of people living in abject poverty. Since then, the prominent journalist had previously served as editor, blah, 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 right? The initial assessment by the Turkish police is that Mr. Khashoggi has been killed at the consulate of Saudi Arabia. We believe the murder was premeditated. The body subsequently moved out of the consulate, and a senior Turkish police official said that Khashoggi has been brutally tortured, killed, and cut into pieces. Everything was videotaped to prove the mission had been accomplished, and the tape was taken out of the country. The police said that about 15 Saudis, including officials, came to Istanbul on 2 private flights on Tuesday and were at the consulate at the same time as the journalists. They left again the same day. Wow. That's okay. They can definitely prove that. You got to check into Turkey. They know who's coming in and who's leaving. And if 15 Saudis popped up out of nowhere at the same time this guy Khashoggi was there, well, we know what happened. We are about to see an explosion of heated diplomatic activity and claims that counterclaims after today's reports. But what is certain is that Jamal Khashoggi is nowhere to be found. What is certain is Jamal Khashoggi is most likely fish food at this point. Most likely fish food at this point, Siege. What does that mean? Well, Khashoggi is a U.S. citizen. And for him to be killed sends a lot of strain between not only U.S., but it also strains relationships between Saudi Arabia and Turkey.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's a lot of strain there. Now, people don't realize this. When you talk about NATO, the power of NATO, the second most powerful and largest military in NATO is Turkey. Okay, and Turkey is going the way of the East. They're more tying into Russia and China than anything else. This Khashoggi thing, how it devolves, is again another geopolitical strain on the relationship between this trifecta. How this will play out is only one's guess, but so far it doesn't look good. That's about it. See, that's all I got. Pretty slow news cycle today. Pretty slow news cycle.
Yeah, the timing of this as well be just in part because of Turkey and Russia with Idlib and working together in that area, and then boom, they take care of this guy. So who knows?
Yeah, exactly correct, man. Exactly correct. And with that being said, Siege, what else we got lined up for today?
Yeah, 4 p.m. I posted in the chat room earlier. We, per London Paul's request, we moved his show today. We will be going late in the day with him, V. So 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know he had tweeted out over the weekend that he plans to drop a lot of truth bombs come 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
get ready, folks. Truth bombs are going to be dropped. Get all your friends who are on 8chan, 4chan, and 10chan, and 12chan to join. Go ahead, Siege.
No, yeah, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then also just real quick, I didn't even realize it till I loaded it today that the cuss with Gus was still there from Friday, and I forgot to delete it. Yeah, it just didn't work out this week due to scheduling and everything. Scheduling. So if you were in there waiting for something to start and never did, I apologize. It's my bad.
Dude, we still have people that are still waiting on that, man. They're literally right now waiting. Still over the weekend. They didn't left their chair. They're just sitting there waiting. Oh, man. Folks, subscribe to the show. Make it happen. Again, check out our sponsors also, remaincalm.net, My CBD Edibles, and, of course, the cryptoschool.io, the cryptoschool.io. Subscribe. Thank you all for taking us over 17K. Let's hit 20K together. And with that being said, we're over and out. Take it away, CJ.